Now, Kate and William may have taken to social media to wish Meghan a happy birthday, but they may have wished to avoid the internet earlier this week as a new series debuted based very loosely on the life of their eldest son, Prince George, was released. Let's take a look.
I know some of you are anxious. Some of you are frightened. But together, we will succeed.
I would like a treat. I would like a treat. The Queen would like a treat.
Excuse me, do you have any tea that doesn't taste like piss? Thanks. Owen, let's go over my day tomorrow.
You have school?
I don't know why I'm auditioning with you guys. I doubt anyone else here is even a tenor.
We're all tenors. We're 7.
Well, Prince George's American accent's really coming on, isn't it? Rebecca English is back with us now. Now, Rebecca, what is going on with this cartoon?
Yes, so The Prince. Now, this is based on actually an Instagram account of a gentleman called Gary Janetti, who's a comedy writer, quite successful in the US. I think he co-wrote Family Guy, which is a funny but very, very close to the knuckle cartoon comedy. And he created this kind of whole persona around Prince George of being this kind of quite waspy, quite bitchy kind of young child making kind of commentary about other members of the royal family. Now, personally, I didn't really get it. I didn't find it very funny. And I really don't like the way they lampoon children in it. But it did have a cult following. And they've now made it into a 12-part cartoon series, which is airing in the US at the moment.
And there are some pretty famous names voicing those characters.
There are. It's attracted a very, very starry cast. I mean, I think the most well-known name is the British actor Orlando Bloom, who voices a slightly woke and hapless Prince Harry. Now, that in itself is quite interesting because Orlando Bloom and Harry have apparently become quite close friends since Harry moved to Montecito. In fact, they're near neighbours there. And Orlando Bloom has admitted that it could be quite awkward, but he hopes that Harry will see the funny side. He said he's very proud of being British, proud of being the royal family, but couldn't resist taking the opportunity and was slightly egged on by his partner, Katy Perry, who thought the Instagram account was hilarious by all accounts.
Of course, the show is a cartoon and a satire, but still a lot of people are quite upset about it, aren't they?
Yes, there are. And I think there's a lot of people like me, as I previously mentioned, who just find the kind of satirisation of children really very uncomfortable. I think the royal family are used to that. They're used to being satirised over the years, but that's the adults, that's the grown-ups, not the children. And there's also quite a bit of disgust at the inclusion of Prince Philip. Now, I should stress that this programme was made before Prince Philip sadly died in April, and actually its airing was pushed back because of that. But they still included the character of Prince Philip, presumably because they feel it's too difficult to edit out. But in hindsight, it's quite distasteful. It's a lot of jokes about his imminent demise and his ill health. And there's a lot of people who feel quite angry and uncomfortable about that.
Sarah, coming to you. It's HBO, it's a cartoon, it's mainly probably for American audiences. Will you be tuning in?
No, I think it's actually disgraceful to do that to an 8-year-old child who doesn't have any right of reply. He's a child, they're all children, and actually they should be, I mean, the British press were very good at not invading the privacy of Harry and William when they were little. There is an unspoken rule, which is that you don't visit the sins of the royal family or whatever on the children. I mean, I don't. Yes, maybe it's funny. Yes, I mean, and it's done by a very good team. They did Family Guy, which is a very clever and rather brilliant satire. But what I think is that you don't know the damage that sort of thing will do to an 8-year-old, or indeed to his sister and his brother.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Some of the actors voicing the characters, Sophie Turner, who's just had a baby with Joe Jonas, Orlando Bloom, and they've spoken about protecting the privacy of their children. So it's an interesting.
I mean, don't underestimate. It's very, all children deserve the right to, to an extent, to make their own path in life. And if you're overlaying all these assumptions that he's a spoilt brat, that he's, rude to staff or whatever, all these things that are, and it's not a nice character, then that is going to inevitably have an impact on that child's perception of himself. And that's not fair. He doesn't, yes, he's a royal, yes, there are certain things. But on the other hand, psychologically, and, Americans particularly talk endlessly about mental health issues and, how we must do that. What that could do to that child's mental health, I don't know, George. I've never met him. I don't know if he's
it's interesting as well that the Americans, I think, do tend to view the royal family differently to us.
Yeah.
They don't humanise them in the same way.
Exactly.
No, I mean, I genuinely worry that, Prince George might be bullied in the playground or whatever on the basis of this that people have seen. And that's why he has been
And even a
left alone
tiny
generally.
little word in the playground, even a throwaway comment can really cut a child, can really destroy a child's personality.
Because,
and
he
confidence.
won't watch it, but maybe some of his school friends will.
I'm sure his school friends'
And remember
parents will
that
watch it.
in the James Corden programme, Prince Harry talked about how he'd exchanged text messages with Orlando Bloom about privacy and how photographers were trying to take pictures of their children. So it does seem grossly hypocritical then to then be, Orlando Bloom is in this programme and then to be mocking an 8-year-old child.
And then, ironically, Orlando's voicing Harry's character.
Yeah.
What do you think Harry will make of that?
I don't know. They're probably, he's in that sort of Hollywood bubble now, isn't he? But I really do think that it's very cruel. I just think that if you stop to think what you're actually doing, you're basically libeling, you're basically shredding a small child's character.
I mean, there will be those who say, "Oh, come on, it's just a bit of fun."
It's not just a bit of fun, though. If you're 8 and it's happening to you and you don't understand it, and someone comes up to you in the playground and says, "Oh, thrown any, china cups lately, George?"
Yeah.
As he's, it's not. Children don't have the sort of emotional maturity to understand that something like that is a joke. We do as adults, but that's fine. We're adults. When you're small, you don't really, you haven't worked out how to do that yet.
You say that, but I think even this characterisation of Prince Charles as a mummy's boy might grate a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Prince Louis is a thug, apparently.
It's not very original at all, the sort of mummy's boy joke. But, I mean, on this programme last week, you were talking about the programme The Windsors, and that's all about the adult members of the royal family. I must admit, I love that. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure. I think it's very funny.
Yeah.
And I think
it's very affectionate, though, that programme.
Yeah.
I've watched a few episodes of it, and it is genuinely quite affectionate.
Mocking adults is a completely different kettle of fish.
Of course, if you're an adult, that's completely fine. I mean, Prince Charles is 73 or 4. I mean, I'm sure he's grown up enough and big enough to take it. I just don't think you pick on a small person like that.
No. And then interesting that the children don't feature in the Windsors, do they?
They don't at all.
Yeah.
No. And that's as it should be.
Yeah.
The royal family, are in the public eye. They accept that, and they'd laugh at a lot of these things themselves. I know Prince Philip used to enjoy seeing some of the cartoons about himself. But when it comes to children, that is a different matter.
It's been fascinating to see. It hasn't had the best reviews so far, so who knows how it will fare, but let's move on. That's all we have for you on our YouTube show. But to see the rest of this episode, including some more fascinating royal revelations, head to www.mailplus.co.uk/royals or click the link on screen now.